Welcome to the Alcohol Reset, the podcast that helps you reset your habits, health, and relationship with alcohol without judgment or extremes. If you're looking to cut back, take a break, or just understand how drinking can affect your body and mind, you're in the right place. Each episode brings you science-backed insights on neuroscience, nutrition, and habit change to help you feel better, sleep deeper, and take control on your terms. I'm Mike Hardenbrook, best-selling author, neuroscience enthusiast, and habit change expert. I've helped thousands through my book and podcast to rethink their drinking, and now I'm here to help you do the same. Let's get started. All right, welcome to the show. I'm Mike Hardenbrook. Let's paint a picture. It's the holidays. You can probably see it in your mind right now. The turkey is carved, the gravy is steaming, families all around the table. And then, like clockwork, someone reaches for a bottle of wine. It's this automatic ritual. It's just as expected as the cranberry sauce, right? But have you ever actually stopped for a second, maybe mid-pour, and just wondered, why? Why is this specific pairing, roast turkey and wine, such a locked-in thing in our culture? We never really question it. We do it year after year. Well, today we are going to get into it. We're going to look at the research, the history, the neurochemistry behind this mandatory holiday drink. Our mission here is to move past just saying, oh, it's tradition, and really understand why your brain connects a giant roasted bird with a glass of alcohol. And the big finding from all the data, it's not about biology, and it is definitely not about some perfect food pairing. It's almost entirely about conditioning. So we're going to break down those psychological drivers so you can make this holiday season intentional, not just automatic. Okay, so let's unpack this conditioning. Where did this whole wine and turkey script even come from? Well, it starts with a really powerful mix of inherited scripts and some very clever marketing. And it really starts right in your own family tree. Think about it. We internalize these drinking patterns the same way we learn family recipes. You know, like that weird stuffing recipe that only your Aunt Carol makes. For generations, the pattern has been set. Mom poured wine, grandma poured wine. When you look at it, these actions, repeated every single year, they effectively weave alcohol into the very fabric of the holiday memory itself. It becomes less about, actually liking the taste of that specific Cabernet and more about fulfilling an expected role in this big seasonal performance. It's like we inherit the whole manual for the day, and page 17 just says open bottle of wine and stops being a conscious choice. It just becomes a cultural expectation. And that inertia, that automatic pilot, has been expertly amplified by decades of targeted marketing. There's this pervasive theme in advertising for years and years. Special meals deserve special drinks. Marketers got really good at conditioning our collective brain to believe it's celebration, reward, big milestones. Birthdays, weddings, and especially the holidays, they must be accompanied by wine. So the big turkey dinner, which your brain already sees as a huge reward, it immediately triggers this need for another reward to go with it. And alcohol becomes the shortcut, the easy, immediate way to get that feeling of celebration and relaxation. And then you layer on the third factor, which is a big one, stress. Let's be honest, the holidays are stressful. You're cooking for 15 people, the in-laws are about to arrive, you're secretly terrified the turkey's going to be dry, and suddenly that glass of wine, it's not just a drink, it's an instant socially approved permission slip to just relax. And that permission slip idea is so critical because even if your body's already tired, even if your system is overloaded, that glass of wine gives you immediate psychological relief. It's a justification, right? It's a coping mechanism for the pressure of the holiday. Okay, so that's the cultural stuff, the marketing. But here's where it gets really, really interesting. The actual science behind why this conditioned ritual feels so fundamentally right. We have to talk about neurological reinforcement. This is where dopamine comes in. Dopamine is that key neurotransmitter for pleasure and, importantly, for anticipation. And that anticipation part is absolutely key. Just the holiday meal itself, the sights, the smells, the sounds, it triggers these incredibly powerful, positive emotional memories. Nostalgia. When you pair all of that with the act of pouring or sipping the wine, your brain releases a hit of dopamine. And that dopamine burst, it reinforces the entire sequence, the stress, the wine, the food, the memory. It makes the ritual stronger and more automatic every single year. You are literally hardwiring that connection in your brain. So the emotional rush of nostalgia is basically acting as a supercharger for this automatic habit loop. It's incredibly efficient for the brain, which is also why that loop is so darn hard to break. Now let's add the chemistry. Let's talk about the addictive combo. Sugar plus alcohol. Holiday food is, it's the definition of heavy, right? Carbs, fats, sweetness, and the potatoes, the stuffing, the pies, they're all super carb heavy. This leads to a massive insulin spike. Now when you drink alcohol, it actually slows down your liver's ability to regulate glucose. So when you combine that big sugar spike with your body's reduced ability to handle it, you get this powerful synergy. The alcohol not only tastes better with all that sugar, but it hits you faster and often a lot harder because your system is already struggling. It's a perfect cycle for creating a really rapid, intense feeling of comfort or even euphoria. And while all this is happening inside your body, the external environment is messing with your perception too. Let's call it the social masking effect. This happens all the time in crowded gatherings. You've got noise, laughter, excitement, people talking over each other. That sheer sensory overload, it just distracts your brain. It works like a mental smokescreen. The whole environment tricks you into feeling less impacted by the alcohol you're drinking. Your brain is so busy processing everything else that it just sort of ignores your rising blood alcohol level. So you feel fine. You feel functional, even as your body's chemistry is going haywire. And this, of course, leads to drinking more than you planned because your internal alarm system is temporarily offline. Which brings us to the hidden cost of all this. Why does that holiday drink seem to hit us so much harder than we think it should? It's because holiday drinking is fundamentally different from having a glass of wine on a quiet Tuesday night. When you have that holiday drink, your body's usually already operating with a totally overloaded system. You're probably already tired from all the prep. Maybe you're running on poor sleep. You're dealing with family stress. The drinking happens when the body is already stressed, often dehydrated, and dealing with existing fatigue. Alcohol just piles on top of that. And that's why just one glass can lead to that massive post-feast slump. You end up feeling bloated, foggy, dehydrated, sometimes even anxious, and just wiped out the next day. We all love to blame the tryptophan and the turkey, right? It's the classic excuse. But the research is really clear on this. The post-feast slump is rarely just the turkey. It's a combined force of blood sugar spikes, alcohol, and inflammation all ganging up on your body at once. It's not one culprit. It's a perfect storm. So what do you do about this? You don't have to ditch every tradition. But we need to move toward making the ritual optional, not mandatory. And the first step is just acknowledging the conditioning we just talked about. Once you can see the strings, you can choose whether or not to let them be pulled. But if you do choose to drink, there are practical steps you could take to minimize the load on your system. First, and this is non-negotiable, alternate every alcoholic drink with a big glass of sparkling water. It helps with hydration and slows you down. Second, make sure you drink after you've eaten some protein and healthy fat. Never drink on an empty stomach. That just accelerates that sugar-alcohol train wreck. And what about supporting your system? If you know you're going to partake, are there tools that can help? Absolutely. We can look at specific nutritional cofactors. Two key recovery tools are vitamin B1 and something called NAC. Let's start with B1, specifically a form called Benfotiamine. It's a highly absorbable, fat-soluble form of vitamin B1. Alcohol is known to rapidly deplete B1, which leads to a lot of that post-feast brain fog. Supplementing with it basically helps put back what the alcohol drains, supporting your energy and your brain functions, like putting the fuel back in the tank that the alcohol used up. And the second one is N-acetylcysteine, or just NAC. Sounds like a gleno, but its function is simple. NAC is a precursor to glutathione, which is your body's master antioxidant. Glutathione is critical for your liver's ability to process alcohol. So by boosting your glutathione with NAC, you're directly helping your liver break down the alcohol more efficiently, which can dramatically reduce that next day fatigue. These are just tools to support your body. But the main point, the overarching point, remains the same. You have the choice. Let's just say it plainly. Turkey does not biologically need wine. The ritual is cultural. It's emotional. It's completely conditioned. It is not a biological imperative. And once you truly understand why that pairing became so automatic for you, you gain an immense amount of power. You get to decide. Do you keep that pattern? Do you tweak it with some of these tools? Or do you replace it entirely with a new ritual that actually supports how you want to feel this holiday season? You get to rewrite the tradition on your own terms. That's the real freedom this knowledge gives you. So here's something to sit with. Which traditions are you going to keep this year, and which ones are you going to intentionally rewrite? Until next time, stay curious. That's a wrap for today's episode. If you got something out of this, do me a quick favor, leave a rating and review on whatever podcast platform you're listening on. It helps keep the show going and would mean the world to me. Got ideas, comments, or questions? Shoot me an email at mike@trycloud9.com. I'd love to hear from you. And if you're looking for extra support, check out Cloud9, makers of Daily Restore, a once-a-day supplement to support your body from alcohol's effects, and Rise and Unwind AM/PM, a 24-hour combo to curb cravings, balance mood, and improve sleep when taking a break. Go to trycloud9.com and use the code PODCAST to save 15% on your next order. Thanks for listening, and I'll catch you next time.